Good morning, everybody. My name is Akodiola Komi Joshua. I'm going to be our pilot this morning for today's morning market review. Same time like we've always done it. Saying a very good morning to every one of us here. I can see Akpo Favor, Akiwande Robert, Amosun Oluwaseun. You can see Aremo Okpayemi, Babatunde, Chinedu, Dan, Ifoma, Nwara, Jukrom. You can see Kenny. I can see Lukman Dada. I can see Magdalene Amos. I can see Oko Agnes. I can see Matthew Ogunike. I can see Patience Mark Angeline. I can see Matthew Simon Ojelabi Sunday. You can also see Samson Oyishoma. Sebastian Maduabuchi, Stephen. You can also see somebody behind the name Techno KG5. Okay, so for the person behind the name Techno KG5, why not those the honor of changing your phone name, change that name to your real name so we'll be able to see and be able to also call your name when we're calling others' name, not call you a phone name, you understand? That would be interesting if you're able to address you by your name, you understand? That's more or less respect, giving you that respect that is due. Also see Temitope Simeon, Toluka Ayode, the priesthood, okay. Victor Edojo, William Aja, see Yusuf Adebayo, Rashid, I can see Anthony Kayode. Okay, so lots and lots of people. I can see Aremu Okbayemi. Yes, I can see Ekpenski, you understand? I can see that Gideon Tabubu. So yes, if I didn't call your name, please, maybe you're just joining as a result of you just joining, and it does not mean that I don't appreciate you or I don't acknowledge you. Acknowledge everybody. Everybody is giving 100% acknowledgement. So maybe when we're done, maybe I didn't call your name for this time. That's maybe when we're done, I'll also call your name. I might see your name and I will acknowledge it. Yes, so I'll call your name. Well, please have that back of your mind that whether I call your name or I don't call your name, you are highly acknowledged in full respect. You understand? Respect to everyone. Okay. So that's that. So today we're going to be looking at what happened in the market yesterday. Interestingly, yesterday, while the whole review was going on, I took over from my boss around 8:31, 8:32 or so, yes. And from that point, we did some analysis on some certain instruments. So we're going to look at how it all went. Maybe it went in that line or not. And after that, again, we'll look at what is going to happen today. You understand? Looking at the news and everything, look at the direction we expect or we are envisaging the market to go. So first thing first, let's look at the market fundamentally based on news, what is going to happen. You know, yesterday, interestingly, we had news coming out on two instruments. We had news coming out on CHF. I also had news coming out on GBP. And interestingly, they both moved the market their own way. You understand? Moved the market their own way, which was interesting. It was interesting. So fine, let's look at it. Let me share my screen from my own end. But before I do that, I would like to also request that please, if you're unable to hear me from your own end, kindly let me know. But if you're able to hear me clearly, loud and clear, just put it on the chat section, loud and clear. You understand? That will make it interesting. So I'll know that yes, you can hear me clearly. So if you're not hearing me from your own end, once others are able to acknowledge the fact that okay, that they can hear me clearly, it means maybe your location is being affected by the network. So I'll just advise you change your location. So please, if you can hear me loud and clear, please just drop it on the chat section, loud and clear, that you can hear me, please. Loud and clear. Please, I'll need us to acknowledge that. Once I'm able to have that, okay, so interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Ekpemski. He's saying loud and clear. Interesting. That's interesting. So if you're not hearing me from your own end, it means the network of your location is what is affected. Okay, interesting. I have more response from Mrs. Oyeniro saying loud and clear. Amos Oluwaseun, loud and clear. Victor Edojo, he said LNC, that's loud and clear. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Interesting. So if you can't hear me from your location, it means your network, the network of your location is what is affected. So kindly change your location. You understand? Maybe you just move your seat or move to another location where the network is a bit stable. All right. Okay. Let's move to, let me share my screen so we'll see what the news that came out yesterday and how the whole thing is going to affect, how the whole thing affected the market and what we're looking out for today. Okay, so yes, as of yesterday, so I believe everybody can see my screen. As of yesterday, we had news coming out on AUD, that's for the employment and employment change and unemployment rate. That came out around 1:30. Even before that, we had bank holiday in Japan. I said all this. So it means throughout the day, there was no serious push from the Bank of Japan. Even though, yes, the instruments will move, but because they're on holiday, you will not expect it to move in full force because, yes, they're on holiday. So the market will still move, but it might be a little bit slow. Then by 1:30 a.m., we had employment change and an employment rate coming out on the Australian dollars. And interestingly, the employment change came out negative, while the employment rate was neutral, 4.1. Now, based on training, we say in such situation, you stay away from the market because red means the information is negative to what? To the economy or to that particular currency, right? While black means neutral. Neutral could also be tantamount to a partial buy, you understand? And in such situation, the market might go up or come down, might range. So in such situation, we advise that, yes, you stay away. Yeah, but interestingly, there are times that the market could still be directional. Okay, then we now had news coming out on CNY, and we all know that yes, we do not have the CNY currency on our platform, so that's on its own. Let's leave that. Then GBP, where we have the claimant count change and the average earning index 3 months to year, that's quarterly to year, you understand, came out negative, and the claimant count change came out negative, while the average earnings index came out neutral. So the same way it is, we also advise in such situations you stay away from certain market. After which we had a speech coming from President Lagarde, and said it when speeches are being given, more so the speech that is being given is given by somebody that holds a top position in an economy. It is always expected that there will be a reaction. You understand? Just like in Nigeria now, if we have any information coming from our CBN governor, you surely see that there's going to be a reaction in the market. You understand? When we had Emefiele back then as the governor of CBN, there were some certain decisions he made, and you discover that because of that, prices of POS just changed. After that, again, most people began to hoard cash. Whatever transaction you want to do, they'll tell you that if it's not cash, they are not taking transfer. They're just reacting to what an information that has been dropped. So the same way it is when the president or somebody that holds his top position in an economy makes his own speech or says something about the economy, there's always going to be a reaction. So yes, yesterday by 9, we had President Lagarde speaking, and when she spoke, there was reaction. Okay, so after that, by 9:30, we had the S&B monetary policy assessment and S&B policy rate. You understand? Yes, S&B, that's for the Switzerland, in Switzerland, you understand, economy, you understand. And we saw the way it came, the monetary policy for S&B, you understand, their monetary policies, that's the Swiss National Bank, you understand, came out the same. No, not the same, was reduced by 0.25 basic points, you understand. Formerly, it used to be 0.50, but they reduced it by 0.25, you understand. So that also moved the market, you understand? Moved the market. And you see, part of the things we need to understand is this: whenever an interest rate is being reduced, it affects the economy. If it's increased, it's good for the economy, reduces is bad. But this came out neutral because it was exactly the way it was forecasted, you understand? It forecasted that they would reduce it by 25 basic points, and it followed that line. So you will discover that instrument like USD CHF went off, an instrument like CHF JPY sold, you understand? And it was a strong movement. In fact, it was directional. Then by 10:30 a.m., we also had the S&P press conference, to which also moved its own quarter to pushed up to the buying side on USD CHF. And so it means the speech that was also released during the press conference, or the statement that was given during the press conference too, was also not really wasn't positive for the Swiss economy. It was more of a negative speech. So because of that, instrument like USD CHF bought, while CHF JPY sold. You understand? Then by 1 p.m., we had information coming on GBP. That's the monetary policy summary, MPC official bank rate votes, official bank rates too. So you discover that, okay, so for the monetary policy summary, it's more of a speech. Talk about summaries is more of a speech. Then the official bank rate votes came out and positive for them, while the bank rates still remained the same, 4.50. Yeah, it was emphasized that that's how it's going to be, and yeah, it came out like that. So they didn't increase or reduce interest rate, still remained the same. So it moved in its own quarter too. Yeah. So the next is by 1:30, where we had the unemployment claims and the field Fed manufacturing index. By 3 p.m. we have the existing home sales. Then by 3:40 we have President Trump's speech. You understand? He also spoke, and he spoke. And you see, whenever the president of US speaks, because he's regarded as the number one man, you understand? He's regarded as the number one man in the US economy, and also one of the strongest presidents in the world. So whenever such presidents of top economies make speeches or say something, it affects. I'm also, yes, President Trump, even right before he became president and even after he became president, I mean, we all know that whenever he makes a speech, there's always reactions in the market. Then by 5:50, we had the Bank of Canada Governor Markham, who also spoke, and yeah, moved the market in his own quarter, literally, little way it could. So now let's look at the chart and see what happened as at yesterday. So I'll be sharing my chart to see what happened as at yesterday during all these times, okay? And some of the things we spoke about. So I'm sharing my screen now. So looking at instrument like USD CHF. Let's see. Let's see what happened on USD CHF. Okay, USD CHF. Exactly. Interesting. Look at it. So as I yesterday, look at the point. From this point, when it came up, it moved up to this point. You understand? Moved up and still pushed up till as high as it got to as high as 0.88424 before the a little pullback came back, and price has gotten to that same point as of this morning. So yes, it was so negative for them, and price moved up on USD CHF. And you also discover even on CHF JPY, you saw this was the move. It came down to this point. So there was a bearish move on CHF JPY, and USD CHF, it was bullish. And yes, also on GBP USD, let's look at it by 1 p.m. Let's see what happened by 1 p.m. yesterday, as of yesterday. Okay, still with us. So this is it by 1. Look at it, because as at 1, price was moving on bullish. You understand? Price was going up, but when the news came, it dropped. It dropped. So that's why we are able to see this long week. Let me zoom in so we're able to see that. That's why we are seeing this long week on GBP USD. That was what happened. It was as a result of the news that it dropped this week, came down to this point. But you see, there was also a reversal. You understand? There was also a reversal that pushed it back up and came before this morning came down. Now it's trying to reverse back up and everything. So yes, for all those news, they were strong and they moved the market. So that being said, let's look at some of the instruments and see what is going to happen for today. You understand? So as I'm picking some of these instruments, we also discuss about what was envisaged yesterday, and let's see if the same way the market is going to move like that today. Okay. So first thing first, like we all know, we know the drill. Currencies are first. We'll start with currencies, and from currencies we move to commodities, from commodities to what? Indices. Yes, we move to indices. Let's see. Okay. So first thing first, like we all know the drill, I'll start with Euro USD. Start with Euro USD. Okay. All right. So Euro USD, we go. So yesterday, I remember that yesterday while we were discussing IMF, it says that price should drop below a particular zone, is going to drop. And yes, it drops to that same point. And when it got to this point, due to the fact that this point was a strong zone, you saw what happened, it reversed back, and price is within that same range now. So yes, based on what we're seeing now. So let's see, let's work up on this. Let's come in. So we're going to be working on this now. Yes, I believe everybody can see my screen. Price has gotten to a strong demand zone, and that's why you're seeing that when price got there, reversed back or a little pullback, now came back to do a retest on this point. So because price is around this point, this is what is expected. Okay, let me zoom out a little so we'll see. This is what is expected based on my own opinion. It's expected that if price is able to break below this part, price able to break below this part successfully, then we should expect price to drop. This is on my 1 hour time frame. If price is able to drop below this part, we should expect price to drop. But if that is not or does not happen, then it will be hard for price to drop. So let's see what is happening on daily time, on 4 hours time frame. Can you see this particular section is a strong point? Because if you look at it from my 4 hour time frame, now you discover that price has actually gotten rejected on this particular section several times. Yes, look at it. Price has gotten rejected around this point several times. Want to even go close to it around this point, reverse back to the top side. Now it's back to that same point. So this point is a strong zone. So this is a strong demand zone. And based on the part that is shaded now, I'll just advise wait for price. If price is able to break below this section, then we know price is going to fall for real on Euro USD. But as far as price does not close below. Now, interestingly, because this part is a strong demand zone, around this point now, that's where you could also look out for some patterns, some reversal patterns to the upside. Maybe you have a hammer on a support. If you have this hammer on this demand zone and the next candle that follows is now bullish, let's say a next candle could be Marubuzo. Now that's a strong bullish statement saying that price is going up. In such situation, you go for your buy based on the information the chart is giving. But let's wait and see what chart is going to tell us, what the candle is going to say. Now, the truth is this, like we all know, I've also told us that when it comes to technicals, we need to be very, very patient. The patient dog eats the fattest bone. Yes, the patient dog eats the fattest bone. So in this situation now, this is a demand zone. And because it's a demand zone, price is having issues around this point. So we wait. Let's wait and see what price wants to do. Is it going to close bullish or bearish? And if it's closing bullish, that's above this zone. If it's closing bearish, if it closes bearish below this point, then we are expecting price to what? Drop. So let's hold on and see what it's going to do. That's what that's my own take on Euro USD. We'll wait and see what price wants to do. Is it going to close bullish or bearish? Then we can now take that deal. If that does not happen, we wait. Okay, so we move to the next instrument, which is USD CAD. Looking at USD CAD. Let's go to USD CAD. All right. So on my 1 hour time frame on USD CAD, like we all see here now, we are seeing that price is also at a demand zone based on what we're seeing around this point. But let's see it on 4 hour time frame to know. Okay, so on 4 hour time frame, this is the main drill. Let's see. Let's go back around this point. Fine. This is the demand zone 1. Then another demand zone here, and we can see this is an inverted hammer. but on a on on a demand zone, and this other one is also trying to form that bearish sign. So are we saying, are we going to be having a bearish hammer on this zone? If we're having a bearish hammer on this demand zone, and the next candle that comes is able to break below this part, then we should expect price to drop on USD CAD. But if it's unable to happen like that, then we should expect price to what? To push up. But all in all, based on what I'm seeing, on my own guts, due to the trade war between US and Canada. US and Canada. I will kindly advise we need to take and be very, very careful in trading USD CAD. You understand? So there are times that some this instrument might be so funny, but if we're looking at it based on what we are seeing here, I might expect price to what? To drop. I'll be expecting price to drop on USD CAD. That's on my own bias. I will expect price to what? To drop. Yes. So even if you were going for that dropping of price, I would advise we wait for price to break below this particular zone. If it's able to break below this point, then we should expect it to what? To sell. But if it doesn't, we could have price ranging and reversing back up to the upside. You understand? So let's watch out and see what is happening. And if you look at it, based on the same way we're talking about this trade, where you discover that if price goes up on USD CAD, the same wave or the same strength it uses in going up, that's the same strength you see it in reversing. You understand? So we just need to be look to see. That's just what I'll say on my own, based on my own opinion. I will expect us to look very well and see. And once we look at these things, we'll see some of these zones and be able to pick our trades. Yes, that's that on USD CAD. Let's go to GBP USD. GBP USD. Yes. And look at GBP USD. GBP USD. GBP USD. Yes. Okay, so on GBP USD now, on GBP USD, so looking at it on the daily time frame on GBP USD, you discover that price has actually gotten to this particular high here. You see the price has actually reversed to some point and got to this particular point and is having issues. So this is it based on those doing that will say wants to do a long-term trade. If price is able to break above this particular session here, then you can go for your buy. If that does not happen, you wait. Okay, so you can see the shaded part. So this is it. If price is able to break above this particular part here, then we should expect price to go up. But if that is not the case, price could easily go back down, because around this point, you discover that price is having issues because there's a zone around this point here. So if price is unable to break below this part, then we could have another reversal back to the upside. But based on my own bias, based on what we are seeing on this trend now, we discover that price is actually reversing back up. This is it. From this point, price has been pushing back to the upside. Yes, based on what we're seeing that price has been pushing back to the upside. This is the trend. We can see the trend being drawn. So expecting price to what? Push back to the upside. Yes. Okay, that's that. On GBP USD daily time frame. But let's look at it based on 4 hours and 1 hour time frame. Let's see what is happening. 4 hours and 1 hour time frame. Okay. All right. Okay. So we can see this is on 4 hours time frame, and you can also see the zone there. So it is expected if it breaks below this point, yes, based on what we're seeing on the trend, we will have price coming back close to this trend before we have that rejection back to the upside, or around this particular section here, price could get rejected and reverse back to the upside. But based on my own bias, I'm expecting price to what? To push to the upside. That's my own take. GBP USD. I'm looking out for a buy on GBP USD. So on 1 hour time frame, like we all know, this is it's close to a demand zone, and we are already seeing it. But before we can go for this buy on candle zero, we can see what candle zero is doing. But before we can go for this buy, candle zero should close above candle two. If candle zero is able to close above candle two successfully, then we can go for that buy. But if that does not happen, we need to wait. That's just the truth. So let's wait and see what is going to happen. We still have time on this. We still have about 31 minutes before time will go on, before candle zero will become candle one. So within that time, a lot can happen. So we need to wait and see what is going to happen. If that does not happen, then we leave it. Okay. So that's that on GBP USD. The next instrument we look at is let's look at USD JPY. USD JPY. USD JPY. Let me just. Okay. So looking at USD JPY now. This is on my 1 hour time frame. Let's zoom out so we see something on this 1 hour time frame. So if we look at it on 1 hour time frame, you discover that for a very long time now, price has actually been dropping. Price has been dropping on USD JPY. You understand? And it dropped to this particular low before we now started having that little pushback to the upside. Let me draw that trend for us to see it so we'll know that yes, price giving us that uptrend movement. Let me zoom in so we can see. Okay. I'm just slow now. Yes. In fact, to make it interesting at a point, this was the first move he gave. You understand? He gave this particular move here. Yes. Give this move here. Pushed up, then at a point, that particular trend got broken. You understand? Came back down, and you can see that price has gotten back to now based on the new move we're seeing, price is getting to that same trade and is rejecting it. You understand? Based on what we are seeing here. So what is happening? I'll say I'm still expecting price to drop on this now because it's broken down and it's coming down back. So if price wants to get back down around this point, I'm expecting price to get down to around this zone. That's my take. So all this move and everything, I'm expecting it to get down to this point. This is the point I'm expecting it to get to before we now have what? A reversal back to the upside. That's my take on USD JPY. Based on what I'm seeing, I'm expecting price to drop to around this zone. Then we have a reversal back up to the upside. That's my take on USD JPY. Yes. Okay, so let's look at USD CHF, after which we will look at commodities then. Okay, USD CHF. So on USD CHF2, this is 1 hour. We've been seeing price coming down based on the trend. Price has been coming down. Now, price is now having more or less like almost like a reversal. It's trying to pull back to the upside, but let's see how it is. Let's see based on what we are seeing here. This is one. Price got to this particular section 2 times. First, in fact, it's almost like 3 times. If we zoom it in, we're going to be seeing that. Let's see. Almost like 3 times. Okay, let's see. Okay, so look at it. The first time it got there, got to this top, came back down to this point, got rejected at that same point, came back again.
No, nigga.
Okay. All right, so I have to just mute all because some people are just okay. All right, so let's move on. So yes, based on what we are seeing on USD CHF now, price got to this top, now came back down, did a reversal pullback, touched that same point a little and even went below, but still reversed back up. So now I'm expecting price to have issues around this point that is painted out. Okay, so let me paint it out for us. Around this point, I'm expecting price to have some little itch. You understand? So if price does not break below this point, I'm expecting it to reverse back to the upside, then we could have an upward movement breaking above that part. But if price keeps on having, does not have any issue and is able to break down this part, we can have it coming back to this particular session. And one of the things I want us to understand is this: whenever you see price hitting a particular zone constantly, going back and coming back to that particular zone, then it means price is about to break that section. You understand? So that's it. We can see it here. It has gotten to this pattern up to 4 times now, you understand? So if this same price is able to break below this pattern and it gets to this point, then it means we should expect price to break below this session. You understand? So that's my take on USD CHF. Yes. USD CHF. Okay. So let's move to commodities now. Let's move to commodities. Let's go to gold first. Okay, we're on gold now. All right, so this is gold. So interestingly, we are having gold at 3,031.65, 64, 68 this morning, you understand? But before now, gold got to this high, for the very, very first time, 3,057.22. And like I said, I for one, I'm envisaging to see the price get to 3,005. And like I've said it, I don't know when exactly it's going to get there, but I'm envisaging that price is going to get to 3.5. That's me. I'm envisaging that it's going to get to 3.5. So once it gets to 3.5, I see that I can feel it around that point, that's where price is going to start resting and having it maybe dropping back. You understand? But looking at it now, technically, this is it here. Price has been dancing between these 2 points. From this point, got up, came back down to that same point as of this morning. And now we're having more or less like what? A push back again. I'm expecting the price to go back up on gold. But even if it's going to go back, I'll say you should wait for price to break above this particular zone here. There's a little zone around this point. So if price is able to break above that zone around that point, then I expect to see price moving back to the upside. That's it. I expect to see price moving back to the upside if he's able to break above that zone. But if that does not happen, we could have price ranging or dropping down below these sections. You understand? So that's my take on gold. And like we all know, gold has actually been moving up for a while. It's been more of an upward movement. This is the same thing you're seeing on my 4 hours time frame right now. Can you see? So even if it gets below to this point, I'm expecting the price of gold to reverse back to the upside. I'm expecting it to reverse back to the upside. That's my take on gold. I'm expecting price to still push up. Okay, so we'll look at the next instrument, which is oil. We'll be looking at oil. Looking at oil. We'll be looking at oil. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's move on. Oils. Okay, so looking at oil now, you saw it as yesterday we were discussing. I say price of oil is able to go up above it to go up. Yeah, so it has gone up to this point, and now as of this morning, you're seeing it coming down. I expected the price to go up, and yes, it went up. And interestingly, I just feel for those that were able to take some of these points, they will enjoy the market because yes, the market move. They will enjoy the market move. You understand? I expect them, they should enjoy it. But as of this morning, we can see price trying to push back to the downside. Let's see. So we can see it's been more of price dropping on oil. See, so this morning I'll still expect it to drop. I'm still expecting price of oil to drop. That's my own take. Based on my own bias, I'm expecting price to drop, to pull back. I'm expecting it to drop. Yes. In fact, I'm coming. Let's see. Hmm. I'll expect the price of oil to drop. That's my take on it. I'm expecting the price to drop. But before we can go for that, let's hold on for this same price that we are seeing here. Let's wait for it. Let's see. It's able to break below this part. It should go down. It should go down. Yes. I'm expecting it to break below this particular section, but let's hold on for it to break below this zone. And if you're able to go below this section, it's coming back all the way down, getting down to this point. I'm expecting price to drop then before we now start having what? A reversal. In fact, if we have anybody who is more of an aggressive trader, if you're an aggressive trader and you know your capacity, if you know your capacity, you could easily just go for the bearish move immediately. But if you don't, or you want to be a reserve trader, you wait for it to break below this zone before you take that step. That's that on oils. Yes. Okay, so let's look at yes, let's look at wheat. Let's look at wheat and see. Let's see what is happening on wheat. Let's see what is happening on wheat. Wheat. Okay. So look at it. Wheat dropped yesterday. Look at it, came down onto, got to this point now. This is a demand zone. And so this is one demand zone, but let's look at it on a higher time frame and see what is happening. Let's see what is happening. Based on the move, wheat went up, came back down. Now, can you see? And since then, it's just been ranging around this point. In fact, this is on daily time frame. So look at it. This is it. As of now, this is that zone. And price of wheat has just been dropping. I still expect the price towards to drop. Still expect it to drop. And also another interesting thing is this. Part of some of the things that will make it to drop more is due to the fact that there's been an ongoing push for the war between Ukraine and Russia to end. So if they're able to end the war completely, they're able to end this war completely, I understand, we should see the price dropping better and better. So on wheat, I'm still expecting price to what? To drop. I'll still be expecting price to drop. That's my own bias. I'm still expecting the price to drop. So this is on daily time frame. Let's see on 4 hours. Okay, so on 4 hours, we're having this around this point. My take, price should still come down. That's my take. That's my own bias. I'm expecting the price to drop. But the only thing is, as of now, we are having a pullback. You understand? We're having a minor pullback to the upside. So I'll just say, let's wait and to see a bearish move. You understand? Before we go for that sell. Let's wait and see a bearish move before we go for that sell on wheat. If you don't see the bearish move, then don't take any trade. Don't just go for the bearish move. But yes, I'll still pitch my things with the bears on wheat. That's my take on wheat, right? So let's look at indices now. Look at US 100. Okay, so from US 100, we go to US 30, US 500, then we'll come to US 2000. All right, so US 100. US 100. So this is on my 1 hour time frame. Now, look at it. Interestingly, when the market opened here, it gapped up. When it gapped, you could, if you look at it, you see that price actually covered the gap back before it now reversed back up. And as of this morning, now is back close to this point, you understand? So this point where price is a demand zone, and based on it, we are seeing that stocks is trying to pull back its way too, so it's trying to go back to the upside. So our advice, we will wait and see what is going to happen on this particular instrument. In fact, based on what we are saying, let's zoom in closely. You know, part of the things we always look at is this. Look at something. So I want us to see something. Based on the opening is at 19889.99, and look at this. So you see that there's a little. In fact, based on what we're seeing on candle 0 now to candle 1, it's more or less like a bearish engulfing. You understand? It's more less like a bearish engulfing. But you see, this bearish move now is getting to a demand zone. So this is what I would say for us. Before you go for that bearish move on US 100, once this candle closes bearish, it's able to engulf candle 1. Wait for the next candle to be bearish too. If it's bearish, that is able, and it's able to, the bearish candle now will mean it goes below this particular demand zone here, then we can go for our sell on US 100. But if that does not happen, please don't sell. You understand? Because you could have price reversing back up. This is indices, and indices can be very, very funny. I tell, okay, based on my own opinion, I say indices is rebellious when it comes to zones. You understand? They tend to do what they want to do first before they tend to do their own before they come and respect the zones of demand and supply. You understand? Based on my own opinion, indices is rebellious when it comes to support and resistance. You understand? But if it's able to close bearish and we have another strong bearish candle, then we could have a continuation on the bearish move on US 100. Okay, so let's go to US 30. All right, so this is US 30. You can see price dropped for a while. Looking at the trend based on what we're seeing, price dropped, got to this point before it now started reversing back up, trying to what, gain strength again. And yes, from all possibility, price will still gain back that strength on US 30. It will still gain that strength back. You understand? It will still go back. It will still go back to the upside. Based on what I'm seeing, it will still go back to the upside. But we need to hold on for it. Now, can you see it's doing almost the same thing as US 100. And just like I said, if price is able to close bearish around this point, and it closes below this point as a bearish candle, we should expect the price of US 30 or US 100 to drop. You understand? We should expect it to drop. And when we're saying we're expecting price to drop, it means it is what? Bearish. It is bearish if you're expecting price to drop. But as of now, let's wait and see what wants to happen first. On this candle, I won't advise we just go instant for a bearish trade. Let's wait and see what is going to happen first. Okay, so that's my take on US 30. I'm still expecting the move to be what, bearish on US 30. Yes, let's see the US 100 and US 500, which is also known as the S&P 500. So the same thing, giving us the same vibe. Also, it's been bearish for a while, coming down, and got to this particular set. Almost the same pattern, you understand? But interestingly, still the same thing. So I'll pitch my tent with just the same thing I've said on US 30 and US 100. I'll wait for price to break below this part before I go for my bearish move. And if that does not happen, I'm not going to take that bearish move. But if it happens, then good and fine. I know what to do. And what is that? I take my bearish move with it. So looking at US 2000 now, remember, just like I said yesterday, price around this point is a zone, and said I expect price to drop. So for those that were able to take that bearish move after this point, kudos and congratulations to them. They made a good profit. You understand? I'm very sure they made a very good profit. Now, after that, we now had the reversal back to the upside. And as of this morning, we are having price coming below. It has gotten to this part now. So if price is able to break below where it is now, this part, this is a strong zone for it. And you can see even on the candle zero, price is struggling around that part, is having issues. But if it's able to break below this part successfully, then we should expect the price to what? To drop. It could drop down to around this point. Okay. Now, one interesting thing is this: when we do some of these things and when we say that price is going to take a particular direction, and let's say we'll say we're expecting price to be bullish, and eventually price gets bullish and it moves on. You know, it's at your own discretion now to now know when to stop and when not to stop. So I'll kindly advise whenever you trade like this and you're seeing a good proceeds and everything, just take your one step, a bold step, and do what? Leave that market. So you know you're leaving the market in profit. Okay. All right. So we are having like 11 minutes more. So this time I'll be giving us the opportunity to drop one or two instruments that you want us to look at. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, just kindly go to the chat section, drop your questions for me. Let me see them. Once I see it, I'll respond to it. I'll respond to it. As far as I see it, I respond to it. So yeah. Okay. Okay. AY, you're saying sell on USD JPY. Well, based on the analysis, you follow the analysis. That's what I'll say. But I'm not telling you whether you should buy or sell. You understand? It's just my own opinion I'm giving about the chart, and I expect that we should also follow. But telling you whether I should buy or sell, no, I'm not going to be doing that. I believe we all are professional traders. You understand? So once we analyze this and we look at it based on what we are seeing, is it going to move to the upside? Fine. Is it going to move to the downside? Now, that decision is left to our own discretion. You understand? Okay. But you're not saying we should look at Eurocard. Okay. I'm going to be looking at Eurocard for you, Mr. AY. Let's see. Eurocard. So this is Eurocard, and based on what I'm seeing on Eurocard now on my 1 hour time frame, it's more or less like price has dropped, got to this high, and it's been dropping since then. And where price is now is a demand zone. You want to know what to do on this? Wait. Because based on what we're seeing, this candle zero could be an engulfing to candle one. But based on what we're seeing, let me zoom out so we see it. If price is able to go below this particular section successfully, then we should expect a drop in price. That is what a sell. But if that does not happen, we could have a reversal back to the upside. So let's hold on and see what is going to happen. Is it breaking below this section? If it breaks below this section, good and fine. We go for a bearish move. But if that does not happen, then we could have a reversal back to the upside. Okay. So that's my take on Eurocard. That's my take on Eurocard. All right. Okay. So all right. Okay. So move to the next one. Move to the next one. Okay. He said, good morning, sir. I discovered A1 Wisdom said, I discovered GBP USD broke the 50 moving average on 4 hours. Okay. You're now saying, can we sell? Okay, I'm coming on 4 hours. Let's see. 4 hours. I'm coming. So this is what it did on 4 hours. Now, yeah, it's fine. It broke down on 4 hours. One of the things we need to understand is this. Even after breaking it, based on what we are seeing on the fixed demand zone, price has not broken that part. So what will I say? Wait, don't sell. Don't just go and do an instant sell. Hold on for price to break below this particular zone. Excuse me, coming. Okay. Price able to break below this zone now successfully. If it's able to break below this zone successfully, then you can go for your sell. But if that does not happen, please don't go for that sell, because it could break below it, then and the next thing you have another reversal going back and breaking back to the upside. But for you to be sure clearly, It has broken the dynamic demand zone, right? Fine. Let it break this fixed demand zone. If it's able to break below the fixed demand zone, then we should be looking out for price dropping. But if that does not happen, no, I don't see it like that. Okay. So that's my take on GBP USD A1 wisdom. Okay. Okay, Madalene Amos is saying, but is it bullish? I mean, US 100. You want to know if US 100 is bullish? Okay, so let's go to US 100 and you see something. Go to our daily time frame. What are we seeing? Let's zoom out. Price has been moving up for a while now. So the movement of price on US 100 daily has been bullish. But yes, we have been having a pullback, fall on the stocks based on some of the trade wars going between US and some of these countries like Canada, Mexico, China, and the likes. You understand? Panama, all these things is also affecting them. And like one of the stuff that really even affected them was Ford Dodge, who had an agreement with Elon Musk on their Starlinks, which is over 100 million, and it was cancelled. You see, these are some of the things, and these are stocks market that we're talking about. It's cancelled, and so on that's why price is what is dropping on indices mainly. So on US 100, tech, and everything, well, based on what we are seeing, we are still expecting price to fall. So I can't really say it is 100% what bullish. But if we are looking at based on what we've been seeing, based on trend, you understand, we'll say the price has been what bullish. So that's that on US 100. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, Mrs. Oyenino, you said gold. Yes, I talked about gold. In fact, immediately I finished on currencies, I got to gold. But yeah, maybe you were not on with us as at that. So I'll go to gold again. Let's look at gold. I'll go into gold again. So gold from one hour, I've been saying it that I still expect the price of gold to get to 3,500. Yes, 3,005. So once it gets to 3,005, we can now start having price maybe dropping or anything. But based on what we're seeing, we discovered that for some time now, this is on my 1 hour time frame. Gold got to this high, the highest high ever, which is 3,000 $57.22, you understand? Then dropping back down to this point. So around this point now, is price going to go back up? So as far as price is unable to break below this point, I don't expect price to sell. In fact, on gold, for one, I don't expect it to sell. You understand? I don't expect the price of gold to sell. So as far as price does not break below this particular shaded part, I'm not expecting it to sell. And even if I want to buy, I'll wait for price to break above this box above here. If it's able to break above it, then I'm expecting price to what? Push back to the upside. That's my take on gold. Okay, so I can see okay, which other is okay. Victor Edojo is saying that we should look at DE40. Let's look at DE40. Let's see. DE40. D40. So this is the German index too, and based on what we are seeing, price has also been what it's been pushing its own, doing its own thing, trying to push. And if you look at it, it's also been what bullish. It's been more of a bullish trend. You understand? Based on what we're saying from daily, it's been pushing up, and whoa. Interestingly, on the daily time frame, currently based on what is happening on candle zero, we're seeing it almost like what a bearish harami. We're seeing a bearish harami out of what a bear. If you look at the candle one, it's bearish, and the other one is also bearish. So, but it's more or less like it's pregnant. So, based on what we are seeing, if we have to follow that pattern, and if for any reason it closes like that today, you understand, we should be expecting what a bearish move on DE40. This is on daily time frame, but yes, we can't conclude yet. You understand? We can't conclude yet. We don't assume. We wait for that market to close completely before we now make such a decision. And based on what we are seeing on my 1 hour time frame, we discovered that yes, price actually gapped up before it now started dropping. I'm still expecting, so I will expect price to drop to around this point. I'm expecting price to drop to around this section here. able to what? Fill back this gap. You understand? If it's able to fill back this gap, after that, it can now start moving back to the upside again. So let's wait and see. Once price is able to fill this gap based on what it does, because normally whenever you have gaps like that, it's always irregular. It's not a regular thing, it's abnormal. You understand? So price is going to fill back this gap. And once price is able to fill back this gap, then we can now expect price to go back to the upside. That's that on DE40. All right. Okay. A1 wisdom, we should look at GBP NZD. Wow. Okay. I think as of now, that will be the last instrument I'll be checking today. GBP NZD, because it's already 8:59. That's like 1 minute more. So let's look at GBP NZD. GBP NZD. Okay, so I'm on GBP NZD. And based on what we are seeing on GBP NZD, this is daily time frame. You discover that price got to this low and since then reversed back to this point. Now it's dropping. So I would say we are having more of a, will I call it a swing trade down? So I'll still say I will expect the price to go down on GBP NZD. Let's look at it. I'll expect price to go down. If it's going down, I'm expecting it to come to around this point here. I'll expect price to drop to around this point, but let's see. Let me zoom in clearly so we'll see what price is doing here. If price is able to break below this part, if price is able to break below this part, then we can go for that sell. But if that does not happen, you might have a little pullback up. So let's wait and see. Price break below this point, then you can go for your sell. If it doesn't, then you have to hold on. So that's that on GBP NZD. So thank you very much for today. It was nice having each and every one of us join the morning market review. So it's going to be the same time next week, 8 a.m. We're going to start. But yes, I want us to kindly note that today is a Friday and the market is going to close by 10. So we should be risk cautious. That's what I'm trying to say. So thank you, Alfonso Sikediashi, Amos Oluwaseun, Anthony Kayode Augustine, Kedelo, AY, Anyu Felix Olugbenga, Chidio Odobo. All right, I can see Patience, Steve, Sojifa Rotimi, Steven, Techno KJ5, Ugochukwu, Nweke, Tosin Saliu, Usman. Everybody, thank you. You have a lovely weekend ahead.